The global supply chain is struggling to recover from the pandemic. As we approach the holiday shopping season, stores are running short on products and companies are paying higher prices to manufacture goods. Consumers are eating that cost, paying higher prices at gas pumps and in grocery stores. And there appears to be a consensus. Supply chain issues are not going away anytime soon and may get even worse. For more on this, I want to bring in New York Times global economics correspondent Peter Goodman. Peter is the author of the upcoming book, Davos Man: How the Billionaires Devoured the World. Can't wait to read that one and talk to you about the billionaire tax, but that's a separate story. Peter, welcome. Great to have you here. Did supply chain issues begin during the pandemic, or were the issues already there before and the crisis just made it worse?
We've definitely had supply chain issues in the past. I mean, we had them after the Fukushima disaster in Japan, after a big earthquake in Taiwan in 1999. So we've known that a lot of manufacturers have been operating very lean. You know, they make as little as possible, they warehouse as little as possible, because a dollar that you spend, you know, sticking auto parts or computer chips in a warehouse so you've got them in case something happens in the supply chain is a dollar that you can't use on dividends for shareholders or bonuses for executives. There's been this tendency toward lean, but there's no question that the pandemic is, you know, an extraordinary, maybe unprecedented test for the global supply chain. And it certainly has made pre-existing problems very, very apparent and serious.
All right. So in your research on the topic, and by the way, are supply chain issues going to be your new major beat? Or is this what you're going to be covering from now on?
I'm going to spend a good part of next year digging into global supply chain issues. Yeah, I mean, this is clearly not going away.
Good.
It's very serious.
Yeah, no, it's very, very serious. And you know, you say that pre-COVID, shipping a container from Shanghai to Los Angeles cost about, you know, $2,000. A retailer can definitely, you know, handle that. By early 2021, the same trip cost about $25,000. So how are companies responding to these price hikes? Are they absorbing it? I mean, obviously they're passing some of it on to the consumer, but how are they processing this?
Well, it really depends upon how much money a company's got. So, you know, a giant company like Amazon is looking to buy airplanes. Large retailers like Target and Home Depot are in some cases chartering their own ships because, you know, it's not just this incredible price spike in the cost of shipping. It's also that if you're a smaller player, you have a difficult time getting your container on a ship. Contracts in the shipping industry are notoriously vague. They give the shipping companies all kinds of latitude to say, well, we know we said we would take your container from Shanghai to LA, but we're not going to do it. We can't do it. So you'll have to basically fend for yourself. And bigger companies can fend for themselves. Smaller companies don't have money to charter their own ships. So in many instances, what we see is a reinforcing of the power of larger companies that are able to deal with this.
So how much is this backlog or these supply chain issues affecting the U.S. economy? And I ask because a new Commerce Department report reveals that the U.S. economy slowed to a 2% annual growth rate between July and September. And this growth fell below expectations and well below the second quarter growth rate of over 6%. So this is all connected, right? And does this mean that it will continue to get worse?
Well, there's no sign of it getting better. Nobody really knows how long this will last or when better days come. But there's no question that a lot of companies are dealing with serious issues in the supply chain. You know, if you're a paint manufacturer and you can get 26 of the 27 chemicals you need to make your product, but one of them is stuck on a container ship off of Southern California waiting for a chance to unload at a wildly overcrowded port, well, you can't make paint. And that means that somebody who wants to buy paint to do a job at somebody's house or in a larger construction project is going to face delays too. That is a brake on overall economic activity. And that does seem to be a factor in the U.S. economy slowing, along with other factors like, you know, consumers maybe losing their appetite for spending. In many instances, a lot of people don't have money to spend because emergency unemployment benefits have expired, moratoriums on evictions have expired. So a lot of people are now facing a crisis that was made much less severe, at least for a time, by emergency programs that are gone, and a lot of people are reeling and not in a position to spend.
Right. So how much, do we, the American consumer, now have to shift our expectations? Because you pointed out we're so used to just sort of like pressing a button on a computer and in 2 days, like the exact thing that we want arriving at our doorstep. Now we might not be able to have, as you point out, the color of car we want, or we may not be able to get everything that we want so easily. So is there a certain, expectation that has to be adjusted?
Yeah, I think that is happening. I mean, not just for households, but for businesses too. I mean, companies that have taken shipping for granted as just, I've talked to companies in the apparel industry who built businesses where they design their stuff in the States. They go use a network of factories from East Asia to Southeast Asia to South Asia to make their stuff. And then they just count on it being seamlessly possible to get their stuff across oceans when they need it. They're now really re-examining that model. And I think at the household level, we're all getting a lesson. And I mean, who was talking about supply chains a year ago? I mean, now this is like a conversation you can have in a bar with somebody. I mean, people are talking about supply chains. Supply chains
and the Squid Game, right? I mean, okay, everyone's... All right. Well, Peter Goodman, thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing your excellent reporting with us.